Hey guys, Doug here at Spooky Villages. I hope you're having a wonderful October. Today I have a review of my favorite Halloween village piece from either company, Jack's Carving Studio. But before I get into that, I wanted to show you some pictures and footage from my trip to the local pumpkin patch. And this actually ties in with the Jack's Carving Studio. So my family and I, we made our annual trek to Daniel's Farm, which is our local pumpkin patch that we love to go to every October. It's in St. Charles, Missouri, just outside of St. Louis. And as you can see through the pictures, they have all sorts of things to do. Of course, the hay bale maze, tractor rides, all kinds of treats, a ton of pumpkins, just everything that your stereotypical awesome pumpkin patch should have. But this pumpkin patch is also important to me because this is the place that got me into spooky and haunted villages. I really had never seen one before a couple years ago. I had known they exist. I remember I went into Michael's years ago, and I would see them every once in a while, but I didn't really notice them until visiting this farm a couple years back. Thanks to this display, which has pretty much been unchanged since I started going, but it's really cool, this Haunted Hollow Train Village. It's set up by a gentleman, and he brings it to the pumpkin patch every year to display it. And as I'm talking here, you can see some of the pictures and footage from it. It's a massive Lemax Department 56 Halloween and Fall Village. He's got several scenes going on. He has more than Halloween buildings, though. There's some Lemax Carnival pieces, and just some other, non-Lemax and Department 56 stuff. He's got a really cool scene of a tornado that's about to hit, an area. There's a refinery, decorated for Halloween. And then, of course, he has, the traditional stuff here that you've been seeing. So, yeah, I saw this a couple years ago and was like, I have to do this. And to tie this back into the Jack's Carving Studio, this was the piece that I saw that he had that was like, wow, this is awesome. I have to do this, and I have to have that piece to start my collection. Little did I know, as I was stepping foot, into the deep pool that is Halloween villages and mini villages in general, that some buildings are harder to get than others. I had no clue that Jack's Carving Studio was retired and would, prove to be very tough for me to get. Finally, though, this year, I did get one. You've probably seen it if you've seen my Haunted Pumpkin Patch 2017 display video. It's featured prominently in that. Let's get in the review, shall we? It's a pretty simple building, really. It doesn't have the bells and whistles, animation, sound, lights, like a lot of the other buildings do, especially some of the ones that are my favorite. What it does have is the most charming aesthetic that just totally grabs me. The building is a standard lit one, but it doesn't have a normal, where you flip the bulb up and put it in upside down. The bulb is already in it, and there's actually a second light source that's in the big jack-o'-lantern outside. And you put batteries in the house, and it has a little timer inside of it, so you turn it on with just kind of a switch, and no plug is required, like no outlet or anything. And luckily, it's very bright. So even though it doesn't have a lot going on, as far as lights and all that goes, it's very visible. The big jack-o'-lantern lights up, when it's dark, and that's super cool because, of course, that's a big thing, associated with Halloween and the whole harvest season is the lit jack-o'-lantern. And that's, of course, the biggest feature of this house. The whole theme is like, a building you'd find on a farm, right, or on a pumpkin patch. A little carving studio, something like that. You've got the really, really nice pumpkins outside and the giant one that's on the side of the building. The paint job is immaculate, and the textures are awesome. So the pumpkins actually that are outside, kind of they're sitting on hay, and there's also like hay scattered around. That's a real texture, texturized where it feels like hay. Just completely awesome. Quality is just through the roof of the construction. I love the old cabin, how it looks. It's not dilapidated, but it's very classic style, but also slightly spooky. The sign outside Jack's Carving Studio is just awesome. And it actually comes with Jack the figure and this little kid. And they're, carving the pumpkin outside, carving a jack-o'-lantern. So why is it my favorite? It just looks fantastic. That big pumpkin outside, it just screams Halloween and pumpkin patch, two of my favorite things. This is the perfect pumpkin patch building for your display. And it actually can work for harvest as well. You don't have to just use it for Halloween, even though I feel it works best for that, for obvious reasons. But it's a really nice harvest building, too. It's not overtly spooky. It's more just kind of like a cute farmhouse you would see at a pumpkin patch, where there's pumpkin carving going on. Just amazing building. I love it. If you can find this for a reasonable price, you should grab it. This is a 10 out of 10 building for me. This is the crown jewel of my collection. I would sell every other building in my collection before this one. Yes, that is Jack's Pumpkin Carving Studio by Department 56. You know, while this is my favorite building, I'd love to hear about what your favorite building is. Feel free to share it in the comments below, and have a very happy Halloween.